Hello everyone, welcome back to another video and a new plant that I just recently bought, which is Schefflera arboricola. I think the Latin name for it is most commonly known simply as Schefflera. It is quite commonly known for its petals or its petal-like leaves. And my goal for this one is actually to, over the years, turn it into a bonsai. I've seen quite a few of these actually being turned into a bonsai, so I thought I will just give it a try myself. That's why I went just to a typical garden center and bought one of these. There is a low leaf variety, even smaller, or a small leaf variety, even smaller than these ones. However, it's quite difficult to find them in continental Europe, so I settled on this one. As you probably can see right away, also it is variegated, so some of these leaves at least are variegated. I just thought that gives it a nice additional touch, so I decided on a variegated variety. And in today's video, I just want to go through together with you through the first initial steps in turning it into a bonsai. And the first thing I want to do right away is, I showed you this one here, a very big leafed petal here, I would say. So the first thing I will do is actually take this one out. It is also grown way too high. So I will take it out actually at the top of the stalk. So I will leave this stalk on it. The reason for it basically is that we do not want to damage the node that is down here. And for that, we do leave it on at this point until new growth comes from the node down here. And then we can safely remove also the rest of the stalk at a later point. Something that I have noticed, and probably that you also noticed it, we have two plants in here actually, so often they do come in a way that you have multiple plants in the same pot, just to give it a more dense look. If you keep it as a normal house plant, of course, that is quite desirable. They did bind it together up here, though I'm not quite happy with how they did it, because they actually bound it together at a side stem or side branch here. So I will loosen that up, or at least I will try to do so. Because my goal actually is to have the two stems fused together at a lower point down here, so I will try to bind them together here, maybe later on also up here. But for the moment I will simply try to bind them together down here, as I said. Trying to keep it as tight as possible, but still give it some room for growth. I'll wait to show you how I did it now, though I do think I go a bit higher actually with it. So let me open that up again. Yes, here's a good point to actually bind it. So let me tie it a bit and show you how it looks now. So the gap is almost completely gone, and once the stems start to grow, these should fuse together. Schefflera is a tropical tree. They do normally tend, alongside with also subtropical trees, to bind together or to fuse together quite nicely. So definitely first try I give it, and I keep you updated if it will work over the next months and years. Concerning the foliage, actually I do not want to put too much stress on it already now. As I said, I just got it. So I might only take, like, for example, this one down here that is growing downwards, that I'm already now certain I won't keep for the later design of the tree, and take it out. Up here we have a lot of new growth that I will keep on at the moment. I will probably hard prune it anyway at a later point, because you can see the stem or the trunk itself is quite tall. I probably will shorten it at a later point. But for now, I'm quite happy with it. Probably I will shorten one of the two to basically then move it into a side branch. But for now, I only want to thin out maybe some of the upper leaves that are a bit damaged, like this one here, basically, I think you can see is a bit damaged. So this one here. So I'm just taking this out again at the top of the stem. And other than that, I'm actually quite happy with the way it looks. You can see right now this one is quite young because it still has a green trunk. Later on it will become more woody, even though it always stays soft. So it's not like really a hardwood. It's not being very very stable then later on also. So you always have to be a bit mindful to not damage the trunk when working on it. But it should still change colors, and it's starting to anyway slightly already. It has two different colors as it is a variegated variety. You can see also on the stem the variegation. However, once it turns into a more woody area, as it is already at some parts here, that will no longer be visible later on. Good. As I said, probably I will still also tie it together up here because it just will. I'm not so sure yet, because if I will actually cut it here, I don't want it to fuse up here anyway. So I will, for the first time now, keep it only down here, see if the fusion works down here, and then decide later on. Goal, of course, for this one is also, when it is more mature, for it to throw out a lot of aerial roots, because I do really love aerial roots, and I think they would look really good on the Schefflera. So that is definitely a goal I have, to develop aerial roots on that one. I will keep it in this little basket I got it in at the moment. I don't want to repot it right away, just to avoid additional stress on the plant. But of course, there will come a time when it goes into its first training pot and then into a bonsai pot. But for now, I keep it as bushy as it is. I just let it grow wild, grow healthy, thicken the trunk also through this, and just see it as a very nice new long-term project I'm really looking forward to testing out, because Schefflera is actually a variety I never looked into for bonsai before, so I'm really hyped to get going on this little tree here. So I will definitely keep you updated also in the future. If you have any questions about the Schefflera, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I will read at them as soon as I get to it, and also then of course give you an answer. And hopefully I will see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.